Okay, everybody, this is a very quick tutorial on what you're going to need to revise for the upcoming assessment in January for the higher course. So we're going to assess you on one of the three units. And if you go into your Google Classroom, you will find at the top the revision site, and there's two main areas that you want to look at. The first one is the revision checklist. So let's have a quick look at the revision checklist itself. By the way, you've got a how to use a revision checklist video here, which you might want to watch, but the main piece of information you're going to want is the actual checklist. So the higher is made up of three units. And if I just show you, the first one is called Paper 1, Physical Environments, and that's this tab here. The second one is Paper 1, Human Environments. That's here, that's the second unit. And the third unit falls within Paper 2, the Global Issues. So in our first round of assessments, you are going to be just assessed on the content of Paper 1, Human Environments. Okay, so this would typically be 50 marks worth of exam questions, sat in roughly 1 hour's period of time. And the learning outcomes are all outlined here. So you could be asked a question from urban geography on any of these. As a matter of fact, you could be asked any numbers of questions. Those could be describe questions, explain questions, and evaluate questions. Okay, if we have a look at the population topic, now, at the time of listening to this topic has not been quite finished, but prior to the assessments, we will finish off this topic with the last bit of learning on voluntary and forced migrations, and therefore you will have covered the material by the time you get to the actual assessment window itself. So that's population geography. And lastly, rural land degradation. This is the work that you've been doing on the Sahel, and there are three areas that you need to know about. The area marked in red will not be assessed in this first round of assessments. So just ignore that. Now, the other two units, so Unit 1 on physical environments and Unit 3 on global issues, they are going to be assessed in the second round of assessments before the Easter holidays. Now, if you want to now get prepared on any of these areas, obviously you have your class notes that you've been taking in the Google Classroom, but you also have in the main site, if you scroll down, the revision website. So when you go into the revision website, what are you going to want to use? Well, firstly, you're going to want to have a look at the Paper 1 section. So if I just click on there, and if we have a look at the actual unit that you're going to be assessed on within Paper 1, because it's Unit 2, the human environment, it's these three units. So you can click on any of them and access questions, checklists, and video tutorials covering the main themes in these three areas. Okay. If we just go back to the home page, what will your actual assessment look like? Well, the best way to have a look at what your assessment is going to look like is if we have a quick little look at the 2018 higher exam specimen paper there that you can access yourself from the Google revision site. When you open it up, you'll see it's broken down into two sections, Section 1 and Section 2, and your January assessment is going to be covering Section 2, Human Environments. So you're going to get 50 marks worth of questions. And if we just scroll down, none of these Section 1 questions will appear in January, but when you have a look at Section 2, you can see the sorts of questions you're likely to encounter. Okay, and that's not to say that these will be the questions, but it's 50 marks worth of questions covering the three topic areas of rural land degradation, urban geography, and population. And the questions could be explain, comment, discuss, evaluate. It could be describe as well. So if we just have a look at some more of the questions, describe the changes in this graph, suggest possible consequences. So as you go through, navigate your way through the main Google Classroom, the main Google revision site, if you go into any of the past paper question areas, you'll be able to get a feel for what those different questions look like. So I just quickly finish off today's quick tutorial through what you're going to be seeing. If we have a look at urban geography, for example, which we finished back in November when we looked at London and Mumbai. Here you've got a sort of checklist, which is very similar to the Google Sheet checklist I've given you. Here you've got model answers, and here you have a range of typical questions that you're likely to see. And it's worthwhile looking at all of them and reviewing the sorts of questions, typical questions that come up in each topic, because it's likely that the questions you see will be very similar to that. Likewise, here we have some tutorials that give you some more details. This is just a kind of revision and reminder of some of the key themes that cover each of the main learning outcomes. So hopefully you find this useful. If you've got any questions, please get in touch through email and I can answer them over the coming month or so as we move towards that particular assessment. Good luck.